Techs are an essential part of playing Survivor in Dead by Daylight. In this video, I'll be explaining all the Survivor techs in Dead by Daylight, from funny but bad or unlikely to work out, all the way to the godlike techs that are true game changers and can upgrade your Survivor levels significantly. I hope you enjoy. So these first techs are the most situational ones, but useful in some situations. The keg tech is the act of fast vaulting through a vaulting killer. Since the killer can see us going through their model, there's a high chance they will swing. But if they think we are faking it and running to the side, it's possible to fast vault straight through them and get away with it, which is always hilarious. The item tech is the act of stealing an item from your fellow Survivor teammate by using the prompts smartly. Since healing and picking up an item is on the same button, dropping the item while you're asking your teammates for a heal can lead to them picking up your bad item, and the item they were carrying is now dropped and you can pick it up. Fun to do with friends, but can easily tilt your solo queue teammates. Proceed with caution. The Titanic tag is just as ridiculous as it sounds. The small boat on pell rolls allows survivors to go surprisingly high up the bow of the ship. Crouching up there can allow survivors to hide in plain sight. It sounds really silly, but it actually works more often than not. The fireball tag follows a similar principle. In a lot of loops, there are big fireballs right in the middle of them. Crouching behind them can actually fool killers, especially if they're using filters that make the color red more vibrant. The Q tag is the act of trying to get the killer to show mercy by giving them an item, preferably a medkit, and ideally playing a cute character in a desperate attempt to get a mercy escape in a dire situation. Seems goofy, but has a surprisingly high success rate. Tree tag is the act of running around tiny trees and using the small survivor hitbox to juke killers. Predicting when they will turn around or making them auto-aim into the tree can be surprisingly effective to confuse the killer or make them whiff. The bar tag. On Dead Dog, it is possible to drop onto the bar from the stairs as a survivor. If the killer doesn't perfectly follow and drops off the bar, this can be used to bait a swing and get distance, and then to repeat the process and get on the bar again. This can buy some valuable time. The lock attack. There are many variations of the lock attack, but the main one is to dodge a hit from a swinging killer. This can be done repeatedly by predicting the next swing. However, it is very hard to get away from this position, pretty much requiring a 360 spin and making the killer miss out in the open somehow. Another version of the lock attack is to jump out of the locker while the killer wants to open it and force them to open a locker right next to it. This is enabled by the survivor hitbox forcing the killer to the side and their spacebar already being pressed. The moan tag. By spamming the skill checks on the killer's shoulder while being carried, it's possible to play the struggle sound way more frequently than intended. On some characters, this could be used as a distraction tactic, not the most effective tag, but definitely a funny one. Next up, we have the situational tags that are in my opinion very useful given the right situation. First up, the dumb tag. This tag uses the stun period of the killer to pull a surprising move after stun by vaulting into them. From here, there are multiple ways to surprise the killer. On short loops, running back around the sides is almost always going to work, as experienced killers will walk backwards while looking at the pallet. Inexperienced killers are more likely to turn around, which we can easily outplay by crouching within the killer hitbox and then vaulting back. This move can buy some good time and is generally something that can work against any level of killer. JRM tag. The JRM or hole tag involves making the killer drop off in a hole and then stare at them from above. Especially on Swamp, there are spots that are hard to navigate for killers that can easily lead to them dropping into the hole and having to do a walk of shame back upstairs, oftentimes leading to the killer DCing out of shame when successful. CJ tag. This tag is using the fact that breaking a pallet and picking a survivor up both have the same button prompt for both controller and keyboard players, which can't possibly be changed with settings. The setup requires a survivor right next or under a pallet with a survivor with a flashlight or a cracker nearby. By vaulting into the killer as they want to break the pallet, you can force a pickup of the slugged survivor, and by vaulting back instantly, it is possible to flashlight save the survivor as well. This can also be done with lockers or windows and follows the exact same principle. The bush tag is the act of completely disappearing in one of the larger bushes on Dead Dog. On smaller survivors, this is so effective that the only way a killer will know is if they touch your hitbox, but this is one of the best ways to hide in plain sight. The FOV tag. The FOV tag abuses the low FOV of the killer by running into them and disappearing right below their camera, since the majority of killers are a lot taller than survivors. This can oftentimes bait the killer into turning around and swinging the opposite way, or start S-keying, allowing the survivor to get crucial distance while while they're charging their ability. Works really well on Hillbilly, for example. The corner tech is surprisingly simple but effective tech. When entering a room or any doorway that has a corner crouching in it can be surprisingly effective. After the killer enters, it's time to make a sneaky getaway. Best done when looping something, as there are already scratch marks, making the killer think you already made another loop. The inside tech. After getting hit, survivors lose collision. This can be used to run into the killer's hitbox and confuse them on your whereabouts. This is especially useful against killer with a short cooldown after an ability hit, like Huntress or Springtrap, to get more distance and still make a loop. The slow vault pallet tech. This tech is a great way to get some free distance out of a stun with a flashlight. After stunning the killer, blind him while they're still in the stun animation, slow vault into them while they're mashing the spacebar, and fast vault back as they're getting their vision back. This will oftentimes also bait them into doing an extra swing, giving you even more distance. A very underrated technique. The kiss tech. Xenomorph's tail attacks from an angle that is above their camera. This makes it incredibly hard for them to aim at targets that are right in front of them. When you know a Xenomorph is about to use their tail attack, run to them and give them a smooch. There's a high chance the tail will miss and give you a lot of free distance. The spin tech. Whether this attack is debatable, but it is possible to make survivors miss out in the open by surprising them with a fast spin movement. To do this, move the camera one way and move your survivor the opposite. This will lead to a rapid turning action of your survivor. This is especially useful to dodge attacks like Hillbilly's chainsaw that have a wind-up time. Next up, we'll get into the techs that I consider extremely decent and everyone should know about and implement into their play when it's relevant. The vault tech. If a Wesker ever vaults a strong pallet, it is possible for the survivor to vault right through him on both pallets and windows. To do this, run into the Wesker as his feet are about to touch the ground and press space, vaulting right through him. Don't move into him too early though, as he will slap you if you hug him while he vaults. An incredibly important technique to counterplay his vaults. The window tech. A window tech allows survivors to pass through a vaulting killer. There are several ways to achieve this. One is to enter the hitbox on the last frame before the animation ends. This requires some timing, but is incredibly strong to fool the killer entirely. In some situations, the only way to get out of a sticky situation. There are simpler ways to achieve it by channeling items like keys or maps. This allows the survivor to pass through the killer without any specific timing. Alternatively, using the park dramaturgy also allows phasing through the killer mid-vault. The chem trap CJ. The chem trap CJ is the same as a normal CJ, but without any risk, as you do not have to vault into the killer. By placing a chem trap on the pallet as the killer wants to break it, you can force the pickup of a survivor that is laying right under the killer. This can be followed up with a very easy flashlight save, and if the killer doesn't fall for it, you don't even have to get hit. Window fake. The window fake might not be considered attacked by everyone, but is very strong and can easily fool even the best killers and make your looping way stronger. By running at the window as the killer's barely in range to get a hit, it's very easy to bait a swing and create more distance for yourself. Especially against powers like Wesker's, this is really effective and allows us to make him vault the window, after which we get insane distance and can go all the way across the map. The any means tech. Any means makes a distinctive sound when started that is the same as a slow vault, and also matches the start of the vaulting animation. This can easily confuse killers into double backing and makes playing pallets way easier. And vault fakes work way more consistently with it. By starting that any means animation when the killer cannot see you at a pallet loop but might be able to hear you, veteran killers will often think the survivor started slow vaulting. This is very useful against spirits who are phasing. The Sladoinki tech. The Sladoinki tech is a mix of a corner and FOV tech with a little bit of a spin. It's all about spinning around the killer right as they're turning a corner. This will oftentimes confuse the killer, making a spin way more likely to walk out. The guard tech. The guard tech is the manipulation of night guards by running at windows from the side. This forces the guard all the way around the windows and gives a lot of distance to get away. The trauma tech. The trauma tech is the best way to outplay a killer that is slugging for the 4K. By healing a slugged survivor moments before they bleed out, they can work generators, and if the killer ever chooses to hit them, they will instantly bleed out, allowing the other survivor a chance to get the hatch. Very strong in combination with the hatch offering.
Oh, he does hit him. Down. And hatch will come through. No, surely. Hens, it gets through.
Get out!
Oh my God.
Out! That means they take Get the set!
The next line of tags is what I personally consider godlike tags that are game-changing if used correctly. First up, we have the emote tag. Emoting can cancel the dying animation against almost every killer besides Trickster. This means you can recover a bit faster on Survivor and most importantly dictate where exactly you end up after going down, allowing survivors to exactly die under pallets and set up your teammates for flashlight or pallet saves. It is also possible to crawl a little bit faster, which can make the difference on clutch escapes when being downed inside the exit gate. The heal tag. The heal tag is the act of preventing the killer from picking up a survivor by healing. If a survivor dies in the exit gate, it is actually possible to force the killer to hit the healing survivor or let the down survivor get fully picked up. If the down survivor uses the emo tag, they can then crawl out and escape for free. The shift tag. Shift tag is a way to manipulate the chase mechanic to stop the killer from keeping chase on survivor. To keep chase, the killer needs to be looking at the running survivor while also moving. Survivors can manipulate that by only tapping the shift button when vaulting or walking while the survivor's line of sight. This completely prevents the killer from getting chase, which means they are not building up bloodlust and windows will never block thanks to the lack of chase. The crouch tag. Demogorgon, Hillbilly and Blight's hitboxes are wide at the top, making crouching a very easy way to dodge them. This helps in multiple ways. If the survivor is on a low elevation level, the power will completely slide off the survivor, unless they're looking down at the survivor while starting right next to them. Out in the open, it makes juking them a lot easier too. If any of those powers are about to hit you, it's very important to crouch right before them. This makes crouching an important part of counterplaying their power. And the last tag and least known one is the item drop tag. This tag allows survivors to go through killers that are trying to body block a pallet or window. By dropping the item, it allows survivors to enter the killer's hitbox and drop the pallet or vault the window. Very useful against an uncloaking wraith or chainsawing Billy that is trying to block you from a pallet. And with that, you now know every survivor tag in Dead by Daylight. Ah, bro, you just got fucked up, bro. Bro, getting B-roll on the editor. Don't mind me. Let's go! Bro. Bro.